In 2017, the Philippine military fought the most destructive urban battle the country had seen since the Second World War. Entire neighborhoods in the city of Marawi were completely leveled by artillery and airstrikes. Within this city of 200,000 people in Southeast Asia, masked militants successfully seized the streets and raised the black flag of ISIS. A global jihadist movement had managed to orchestrate an apocalyptic 5-month siege on an isolated island in the Philippines. Understanding the violence that tore Marawi apart requires looking past the global terror headlines. The wreckage of the city is the result of a global movement successfully hijacking a centuries-old local grievance. Long before foreign extremists arrived, the indigenous Moro people of the southern Philippines had spent 400 years fighting off outside control. They fiercely resisted Spanish and American colonizers to protect their homeland in Mindanao. This map shows how demographic shifts changed Mindanao during the 20th century. Government-sponsored migration policies pushed thousands of settlers from other islands into the region. Over a few decades, the Moro people were squeezed out, becoming a marginalized minority on their own ancestral lands. Tensions boiled over in 1968. Following the execution of Moro military recruits in the Jabada massacre, an armed rebellion ignited. The Moro National Liberation Front formed to fight for political independence and the return of their land. But fighting a massive standing army is exhausting. After decades of grinding guerrilla warfare, the main rebel factions began negotiating for regional autonomy rather than total separation. By choosing peace talks, the old guard left behind a heavily armed, highly fractured region. Hardliners who viewed any compromise as surrender were suddenly looking for a new direction, leaving a massive ideological vacuum. In the late 1980s, a charismatic young Islamic scholar named Abdurrajaq Janjalani arrived back in the Philippines. He had just spent years fighting in the proxy war in Afghanistan, and he brought a total rejection of the local peace talks with him. Janjalani's time in the Middle East radicalized his outlook, and records show he built direct connections with Osama bin Laden while in the Afghan theater. Equipped with foreign seed money and imported bomb-making expertise, Janjalani founded the Abu Sayyaf Group in 1991. They discarded the old political roadmap entirely, fighting instead to build a pure Islamic state. Janjalani effectively detached a segment of the Moro movement from its territorial roots, re-ankling the struggle to a global religious war. The group's ideological ambitions proved fragile. In 1998, Janjalani was killed in a police shootout, leaving the organization without its visionary. Without a clear political compass, Abu Sayyaf morphed into a violent, profit-driven criminal syndicate. They turned to kidnapping, hunting down tourists, teachers, and humanitarian workers to extract massive ransom payouts. They captured global headlines in 2001 after raiding a luxury resort and taking American missionaries Gracia and Martin Burnham hostage, dragging them through the jungle for over a year. In 2004, the group detonated an explosive on the Super Ferry 14, killing 116 people, simply because the shipping company refused to pay their protection money. By the mid-2000s, the grand promises of building an Islamic state had vanished. Abu Sayyaf had become a well-armed, highly lethal mafia operating out of the jungle. Relentless military pressure and the loss of key commanders eventually reduced Abu Sayyaf to a series of fractured, irrelevant jungle factions. By 2014, the group was running out of resources. But the rise of the ISIS caliphate in the Middle East offered these fading militants a massive, terrifying new brand to adopt. A senior commander named Isnilon Hapilon pledged allegiance to ISIS. He utilized the vast, unpoliced maritime borders connecting the southern Philippines to Malaysia and Indonesia to import foreign fighters and resources. This coalition began merging with urban-based groups like the Maute clan, who provided the local knowledge and snipers necessary for city fighting. They transitioned away from simple jungle kidnappings toward a strategy of territorial conquest, training a new generation of urban combatants. By the time this globally backed force marched into Marawi, they had transformed from a jungle gang into a conventional army equipped for a prolonged siege. Taking Marawi back required half a year of relentless combat. The military campaign displaced 360,000 civilians and reduced the city to a landscape of rubble. The battle ended after Philippine forces cornered and killed Isnalan Hapilan alongside other key leaders, breaking the back of the extremist coalition. That defeat triggered the collapse of Abu Sayyaf. Combined with government amnesty programs, thousands of fighters surrendered their weapons across the southern islands by 2023. Today, as a structured, capable terror organization, Abu Sayyaf has been effectively eradicated by the Philippine military. Despite this tactical victory, the core grievances of the Moro people, marginalization and stolen ancestral lands, remain largely unaddressed. The provinces where these groups first took root remain some of the absolute poorest and most neglected in the country. Military force can crush a terrorist franchise, but until the underlying poverty and historical injustices are healed, the environment remains primed for the next ideological hijacking.